All right, everybody, we're just about done. One more video of receivers, and then we're moving on. And I understand that this is not the most exciting thing for Seahawks fans, but it's part of the process. We got to get through all this. We got to understand this stuff as much as possible before we get to the draft. We got to be ready for anything, and we have to be as educated as possible. So, we're going to finish up these receivers, these final guys that are currently projected to be drafted on the aggregate, and then we're moving on. So, thank you to everybody who's bared with me this whole time. Going to start with one of my favorites, Bub Means. I like Bub Means a lot. Pittsburgh Panther, I think. 23 years old. 6'1", 202 pounds, 33 and a quarter inch arms, 10 and an eighth inch hands. So right off the bat, you're like, whoa, he's pretty big. He's got NFL size. And then you're like 4'4", 340. That's pretty good. Acceleration's whatever, but almost a 40-inch vert, 10 foot 2 inch broad, 19 bench press reps. This guy's got some real qualities to him. This guy's got stuff. This guy's got some tools to work with. And, I mean, ESPN puts him in the 4th round. You can kind of see why. CBS has him in like the 5th, maybe the 6th. Aggregate has him all the way down in the 7th, barely getting drafted. But to me, this guy should clearly get drafted. So I expect the aggregate to catch up in the next couple of months. Or, well, excuse me, weeks. Fairly productive last year. 700 yards, 41 catches, 6 touchdowns. Over the last 2 years, he's made 68 catches and only has 5 drops. That's pretty good. So, produced fairly well. It's very rare you find a guy this late in the draft who has size, length, speed, strength, and explosiveness. Like, he's got qualities of a guy who usually gets drafted round 4 at the lowest, usually higher. And they're saying he's going to be there at the very end. He's good at beating press as well. He understands how to handle the press coverage, which is rare in this draft for me. Big catch radius, got the long arms. He's big, leaper. He's a yak threat. Get the ball in his hands, get out of the way, let him go to work. And he's got burner speed. Not elite speed, but he can burn you over the top. He can get you over the top for sure. Now, he's not very good route runner yet. He's kind of very obvious with what he's planning on doing with his routes, which, I mean, that's definitely a thing with a lot of these guys as well that I've noticed. There's been a lot of bad route running in this receiver class, as good as the receiver class is on talent. But route running is a thing that can be at least somewhat fixed, which is nice. His effort has been somewhat questioned while he was at Pitt. There's some reason to believe that maybe he doesn't have the desire to become the great player that he could be based on pure talent. His run blocking is lazy, basically doesn't exist right now. Overall, his technique playing the receiver position is unrefined. Little things like footwork on his routes, how to snap off routes crisply, how to build leverage, how to build separation. The little nuances of the position aren't there yet. So he's got a lot to work on, but there's a lot of talent here, man. And if you can get a guy who's really talented in like round 6 or something, and you know it has like a 10% chance of working out, I'd rather have that than somebody who's guaranteed to end up dangling around on your practice squad, maybe. So I'd take a 5th round risk on him, no problem. I'm not going to go higher than that because I understand that there's a lot between him and success, but he could be a starter in this league if he figures this all out. I believe that, based on the traits. Okay, so now we have Jha'Quan Jackson of Tulane. 24 years old, catching passes from Michael Pratt. So he had a pretty good quarterback last year. 5'9", 188 pounds, 30 and 7/8 arms, 8 and 7/8 hands. So smaller, not tiny, but a little bit smaller. Ran a nice 40, 4.42. Mediocre acceleration though, very little explosiveness. Physically weak, 12 bench press reps. ESPN has him undrafted. CBS has him in the 5th, so a little bit of disagreement there. The aggregate has him just barely clinging on to draftable, though. They have him in the late 7th. Last 2 years, he's got about 60 catches, 1,000 yards, 5 drops, 7 touchdowns. Not bad. Not the best, but workable. And it makes sense why he's in this part of the draft, right? You're not going to find a lot of guys who have 1,500-yard seasons down here. So he's got great top-end speed, and he uses it to challenge defensive backs really well. Tilts the defense with his presence. And he's pretty good at building separation against cornerbacks, pretty good at being able to just get open. Gets through his routes with great speed. Uses a lot of little tricks to get open as well. I like the way he runs routes physically. He's deadly in the open field with the ball. So you could probably see him be a punt returner as well. You get him the ball with space, and he's going to make things happen. And from Tulane, we saw him run short routes, intermediate routes, deep routes, and produce. So he offers multiple layers of value in an offense. Now, he's going to be a slot-only guy in the NFL. Can't beat press. His routes lack refinement. They're not bad. I like how fast he can run his routes. He doesn't look tentative when he's running his routes, but the little things like snapping off the route cleanly or not using a bunch of extra steps when you're making your cut, like those things, he's just lacking refinement. And he's already 24 years old. How much better is that stuff going to get? I don't really like his ball skills that much. He struggles, I think, to make plays on the ball that are thrown in his direction. Struggles to understand how to use body control to get up to the ball. And physical defenders are going to gulp him down a little bit. So physical defenders give him trouble. So Jha'Quan Jackson, again, he's another one of these slot-only guys. And with these slot-only guys, I want to be blown away by some of the traits, and I'm not. He's got speed, straight line speed, and some route running skill, but that's about it. So he's kind of anonymous to me, right? He's just another slot receiver who could be a good slot receiver and punt returner in the NFL, but he could end up being like one of a million different guys who are out there, right? Like, there are people like this all over the place. You just have to go find one, pick him up, integrate him into your offense, get rhythm with him with your quarterback, and he's just another one of those guys. So, 6th round pick. I'm not going to ignore his speed. I'm not going to ignore how fluid he is running routes. But I'm not super excited about this one. Okay, one more guy, going to be Jalen Coker of Holy Cross. And when you get down to a Holy Cross player, you know you're probably at the end. Jalen Coker, 24 when the season starts, decent size, 6'1", 208 pounds, 32 and 7/8 inch arms. That's actually strong, right? Almost 10-inch hands. So this guy has good size for a guy who played at Holy Cross. You can see why he was so good there. Combine, he was really slow, almost as slow as somebody like a Keon Coleman. But the acceleration was rapid, and he jumped out the building 42.5. That's crazy. 10 foot 8 inch broad, 86th percentile. So he's explosive. So there's some athletic traits here. CBS has him in the 5th. ESPN has him undrafted. The database has him either just barely getting drafted or just barely going undrafted. So he's right on the line. 110 catches, 2,100, almost 2,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 drops. So the production's awesome. His PFF grades have been awesome. So there's some stuff you definitely can't take away from Coker. So good size, and he knows how to use his size. He wins physical battles against defensive backs. When they try to hand fight him, he hand fights right back and wins. When they try to press him, or not press him, but when they try to chuck him during the route, he's able to fight back and win. So there is some good stuff going on with his physicality. I like his spatial awareness on the field. He knows where he is relative to the field markers, knows where the marker is, knows that he needs to go back to his quarterback to help him out. He's got good general field awareness when he's out there. And he should become a pretty good NFL route runner, I think, if you take a look at his explosiveness and his agility. He does struggle against press, which is disappointing because he's big and he has long arms. He's got to develop that if he wants to make it, I think. That should be something that's his calling card. He's not a yak threat, doesn't do a lot when he has the ball, looks a little tentative when he has the ball. Route running is not good yet. It needs to get better, and I think it will, but right now it's not there. And he just doesn't have speed. He's not going to threaten defense with his speed. They're going to look at that speed and they're going to laugh and be like, hey, don't even worry about guarding over the top. He's explosive, you've got to worry about that, but the speed is not going to threaten him. And while he was very productive, it was at Holy Cross. How seriously are you going to take that? So he's got effort. He really wants to make it. I appreciate all that. I think he's got a chance because there are some things about him that are really interesting. But I can get this stuff most other places, I feel like. I know the explosiveness is rare, but the speed kind of cancels it out a little bit for me. And the fact that he's not good against press yet, despite already being 24 and having the physical body of somebody who can take on press, is disappointing. So, 7th rounder or UDFA for me, flip a coin. Either way. All right, that's it. Let me know what you guys think. We got through, I want to say, well, over the last 2 days, we've gotten through 30 receivers. So I think we did 35 guys total. 35 receivers that we've looked at. And there's a good chance that all of them plus 1 or 2 other guys get drafted. There just is, because of the way this is broken out. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you got. I know it was a little bit of a fight to get here because it's just not the most interesting position for the Seahawks right now. But don't rule anything out. Never forget, this team can surprise you. Any football team can surprise you. So I will be seeing you guys hopefully later tonight on Twitch if I have time. This draft stuff is taking up a lot of time for me, and I'm not really having a lot of time to stream lately, but hopefully I can. And we will be doing another position tomorrow. We're getting near the end here. Let's just buckle down, finish it, and be ready for whatever the draft throws at us. All right. Go Hawks. Peace out. Let me know what you think.